right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Box Score, advanced stats from simple people who cannot speak. It is Monday, October 6th. This is BetMGM. This is Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook board in Vegas. Welcome to BetMGM, guys. Nice to see you.
How you doing today, Adam?
I thought I was doing great. The show didn't start that way, but no, I'm doing very well. Been listening a little bit to the new Taylor Swift album. How you guys feeling about the new Taylor Swift album?
Couldn't tell you anything about the new Taylor Swift album. I've listened to, obviously I've heard on the radio all her big songs and stuff and maybe like halftime shows or whatever. I definitely have never listened to an album of Taylor Swift. Not that I knocking it or anything. Not going to yuck anyone else's yums. I guess just not my kind of music.
I don't have time for that. I've been watching Michael Carter film.
Oh boy. Yeah. I watched Michael Carter film before the game, but after I put in my fab bids, and I had a ton of regret about how much fab I spent on him. But we got everything we could possibly ask for. I just don't know if he's going to keep that role because he's just not going to be a good rusher. What did the film tell you, Jacob?
I don't know if I would agree necessarily. I think he did fine with what was there. I know people have had this take that like he wasn't efficient. And it's just like that can kind of happen game to game. He's been somebody who's been good in the past at creating on his own, and then he also like can play on passing downs. And so I think like if anything, look at what just happened with Adonai Mitchell after he had the blunder dropping the ball into the end zone for his team to basically lose a game that they had no business losing because his teammate running back did that. Like, to me, it's like Carter has the skill set to just be a 3-down back. And at times they were treating him that way in this game. So I'm only encouraged by what we saw.
Okay. I just hope Bam Knight doesn't start taking carries from him. I never really thought they were going to give DeMarcado a bigger role. I really felt confident they were going to give the audition to Michael Carter, which is why I was aggressive. But I have no confidence in him being efficient. This is one of the worst defenses in football, and he couldn't really do anything against them. But they don't really have a good run game either. So that's just that. Anyway, I am not a Swiftie. I'm getting a lot of Adam's a Swiftie. I'm absolutely. You can offer me free Taylor Swift concert tickets. First row. I would turn them down. I like her. She's fine.
I would go to that. I don't even know her music. I'd still go to that just because it'd be cool.
I don't like concerts that much. But
first row?
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's too much of a drive. If it were next door, I'd go. But like, where am I going? Going to Giant Stadium? Going to Meadowlands? Come on, now. I'm not doing that. But she's wonderful, but I'm not a Swiftie. Anyway, Dan is a Drake May, even though he didn't have a great fantasy game, only 12.1 fantasy points. But he did get a big win in Buffalo, 23-20. Let's talk about Sunday Night Football. What stood out to you, Dan Schneier, from a fantasy standpoint?
The biggest, obviously, takeaway is Stephon Diggs, and his role continues to grow. That's 2 weeks in a row now for Diggs. I think one thing with Diggs that's really interesting to me, just from watching the broadcast, and then I rewatched the tape this morning because I had to watch Drake May tape. This was his career game. This was his moment of coming out. I know fantasy-wise it wasn't great, but film-wise and actual quarterback-wise, it was unbelievable. And the key thing I noticed was Diggs is getting in and out of his breaks really well. Kind of reminded me of the early days in Houston last year before he got hurt. And he's doing a great job of matching his skill set with Josh McDaniel's system. What do I mean by that? He's doing a great job of turning these short in-breaking or short out-breaking routes into yards after the catch by kind of setting up his run after the catch before he even catches the football. And it matches Drake May really well, too, because Drake May rips the ball in there. He's one of the highest velocity throwers we have in the NFL right now. And that helps when you're trying to maximize yards after the catch. Obviously, they had the broken play downfield as well, where he just kind of sends Diggs toward the sideline and just throws an absolute dime of a ball toward him, leading him toward the sideline. I just think that connection will continue to grow as long as Diggs can stay healthy. At this point, with how high I am on May and what I'm seeing from Diggs, I think he can be a wide receiver 1.
Well, he only played 50% of the snaps, so we're going to need more of a snap share because he had about a 50% target per route run rate, which is insane. They said they were going to increase his workload. They didn't, but he got targeted on half his routes.
I was gonna say 40% target share, so I'll take it. Like it's super focused on him right now. And like Dan said, and we noted this last week on Beyond the Box Score too. He looks good. He really does look crisp and is getting open, and is cutting really well. And we saw some of that last year too, but it was almost all in this like short yardage role for the Texans. and then you don't know how he's going to be coming back from the injury. But I think he's looked so good. He's working down the field, and my gosh, Drake May looked phenomenal last night. That was so fun, dude.
It was so fun to watch. And to be clear, I meant for PPR leagues, full PPR. Could be a borderline 1-2.
Okay. I mean, I suppose he could. It's not like wide receiver is so great. You know,
Right.
Could he be better than Marvin Harrison Jr.? Absolutely. Could he be better than Cortland Sutton? Probably not.
Some ways, yes, though. Like they're moving their offense by getting the ball out fast to him and putting him in spots where he can create after the catch. Like it's really, they're using, in my mind, they're using the pass game as an extension of the run game, which has pretty much been the case for Josh McDaniels his entire career as a play caller. But I think it's even more so the case now because A, the Patriots are much better pass blockers than run blockers, their offensive line, and B, I don't really feel like anyone in their run game is that successful right now. I guess you can say Stevenson to some, right? No.
This is the big storyline, I think, for people coming out of this game, just based on social media. They're pissed off. Ramondre fumbles again. Antonio Gibson fumbles and leaves with a knee injury. And Travion Henderson has another bad game with 8 total touches. Yeah. And how patient should we be, Jacob, on Travion Henderson? Would we consider dropping him at this point? He's 97% rostered.
Drop.
He's not doing anything.
Drop.
He's useless. He's completely useless right now.
What the hell are you picking up for him?
That's what I was curious. Do you have any ideas of somebody you're like aggressively going to get that you'd rather have right now? Waiver wire this week or whatever.
Like Bam Knight, you're going to drop him for Bam Knight? Like that's what we're talking about.
Well, no, because it doesn't have to be for a running back. But we only have 2 teams on bye this week. They're not necessarily. Well, I mean, they're Minnesota and Houston, whatever. But it could be anyone. It could be Calvin Ridley, who's 73% rostered and has been dropped in some leagues. It could be Michael Carter. Michael Carter is 66% rostered.
You're talking about shallow leagues, potentially, 10 teams.
On CBS shallow leagues, but on Sleeper, on Yahoo, on ESPN, many leagues, or about half the leagues, you're going to find Michael Carter available, I think. Could be a quarterback that you need as a bye week replacement. Tell me why I should keep Travion Henderson.
I'm going to share my screen here. We've got the backfield splits after the Antonio Gibson injury, and it was a 63% snap rate for Henderson. So if it's down to just 2 players, like you hopefully don't have as much to worry about in terms of the, shenanigans that we get from McDaniels. I don't think it's encouraging what we've seen from him so far, and the fact that they have, like, obviously the fantasy points haven't been there, but also like they haven't wanted to get him on the field, even with these guys repeatedly making mistakes, like again, fumbles from Gibson and Stevenson in this game. It seems like everything that could be happening to get Travion on the field is happening, and it's still kind of been a struggle to get him out there. So I get it, but just like 63% snap rate, 64% route rate in this game, if that type of role is available to him in time, if we continue to get mistakes from Ramondre, just getting it down to 2 guys, I think, is enough for me to hold him. Because if the train starts rolling, like, people are going to pick up steam like we saw this preseason and get real excited again. Yeah. The offense looks better than we expected. The Lions playing better than expected, and Drake May is playing so well that I think it's going to be tough to find somebody that has the upside that Henderson does on the waiver wire.
I agree. I'm not dropping him. I don't want to. I think, look, I've seen in our Superflex league, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was dropped this past week. People get into a pinch with their roster crunch with bye weeks and all, and injuries and these types of things. And it is hard to make a case, because the other thing about Henderson is when he has played, he hasn't even been good. He's averaging like less than 4 yards per carry. It's not like he's setting the world.
I was going to add that. Like, I'm just a little bit, of all the rookies we've watched, I've seen even in a limited role at times, specifically last week in week 4, some good flashes from RJ Harvey, who's been another disappointment. But on the Henderson front, I feel like he's just looked the worst of all the rookies. Like what I saw at Ohio State, and I know we saw it at one point in the preseason with that long touchdown catch, just haven't seen that level of burst with him. And I think part of that is the run scheme. Part of that is the run blocking, and maybe the situations they're putting him in. But I'm still waiting to kind of see that level of player that I saw on his tape in college.
Who's your favorite Bills wide receiver rest of season? Khalil Shakir has 3 straight games with an ADOT below 2 yards.
Yeah, they're using him in a really interesting way this year. Like, can I say Kincaid? I'm joking, but
he's the next topic though, because he's tight end 2, I think.
Is he?
I think he is tight end
Jake
3.
3. He can't. I know he can't beat Ferguson.
Well,
and there was
actually,
one more.
Waller has more points per game, but that's only through 2 games. He might be tight end 2.
I think he's tight end too.
Wow.
He's having quite a season. But yeah, no, but just I guess I'll take Shakir in half and full. I'll take Coleman in non-PPR.
I guess I'd probably go Shakir across the board. I don't even know. It's the same offense we saw last year, right? Like they don't need to throw the receivers, and they're not going to.
So, Jacob, are you buying Dalton Kincaid as a must start going forward?
No, but he's playing better than he has in the past, and like there is upside. Like he's a fine guy to have in your starting lineup because he's getting targets in high leverage situations, and he can get this offense is so good that he can continue to have games like he's had. We're definitely running hot. Like I think that this is probably going to come down to earth. If you look at his, route rate, the percentage of the dropbacks that he's running a route on is much, much lower than the other tight ends that are around him in scoring. So I'm totally fine selling high on him. We'll get into that a little bit later in relation to some of these tight ends that you might be able to buy. But yeah, for me, it would be Shakir. He did have the highest route rate and he had a 30% target share. He's the only one I would feel like any reasonable confidence in ever putting in a lineup. Coleman is like a good guy to have in best ball type of formats. But if you like have to click a player, it's Shakir.
Keep in mind with Kincaid, he was playing through 2 knee injuries last year. So he's healthy now. He's playing well. Among 30 tight ends with 15 or more targets, Dalton Kincaid leads all of tight ends in yards per target, yards per route run, and big play rate. He's 3rd in yards per catch, 7th in target per route run, but as Jacob alluded to, 23rd out of those 30 tight ends in routes run. My favorite Kincaid stat, though, but I think it's completely fluky. He has a 9.3 yard ADOT, which is pretty high for a tight end. And he has an 83.3% catch rate, which is 3rd best at the position or 4th best at the position. So it's just these are the types of things that aren't going to last, but at least you're getting a healthy, dynamic player, good option in the passing game. All right, what's coming up on Beyond the Box Score this week, Jacob?
We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up on Beyond the Box Score. If you don't know, we do this show throughout the week, not just on this Monday recap. So Tuesday, Dan and I are moving the show up an hour. We're going to be starting that one at noon Eastern time. If you want to jump in the live stream and chat with us, it's the same start time as this Monday show now. This week, the past 2 weeks, we've done like an offensive line overview. This week, we're doing a coaching overview, like a deep dive into route concepts, run schemes, and like the specific ways the players are being put in position to succeed or fail. Really excited to recap like Liam Cohen versus Steve Spagnuolo. Our Monday night treat that we get here. Really excited to dive into that one with Dan. Going to dig into Emeka Egbuka too, for sure. On that, I know.
So what do you make of this stuff that Emeka Egbuka low separation score?
You're going to have to wait till Tuesday to find out.
All right, fine.
Emeka Egbuka is awesome. That's what I think. Like, it's obvious that he's awesome. I've said he was awesome the whole way along the way. Like, he's one of Dan and I's favorite sleepers for a reason. He's really good. The situation's really good. We'll get into the separation store stuff.
Okay.
Wednesday is usage.
Big topic on fantasy Twitter right now. People taking a lot of heat.
I know. Yeah. Wednesday is a usage report. So everything you need to know, like every team, every position through 5 weeks, shifting backfields, red zone rates, first 3 target rates, all the good stuff will be on that Wednesday show. And then Thursday is mastering matchups with Ryan Heath. There have been some great call outs on that show lately, like Mason Taylor and Rashid Shaheed. This last week, he got the Ashton Genty breakout. So super smart guy we got on helping us on the Thursday show.
All right, let's do our news and notes real quick. Actually, I lied to you. Let's take a break real quick. And when we come back, news and notes, and we'll get into our big topics, snap shares, fantasy cops, little bonus fantasy cops for you.
Oh, I love a good fantasy cops bonus. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, we got to settle a middle school debate.
I'm bad cop as always.
All right, we'll be right back on FFT.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, we're going to have some new quarterbacks next week or the week after. Take a look at Cincinnati. They haven't ruled out a quarterback change. Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell wouldn't say who would start after their bye week. So we will see. If it's another quarterback on the Bengals roster, guys, I don't want the change for the sake of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and whatever. Browning obviously is turning the ball over too much, but I think Brett Rippon is their backup.
Oh God.
Yeah, I want them to trade for someone. I don't know. I guess we can
Trade
react to it when it
I
happens.
don't want them to trade for someone because trade for someone is not realistic. Everybody always says to trade for someone, trade for someone. What kind of quarterback can come in, not know the system at all, and play right away? I know it happened kind of with Baker Mayfield when McVay claimed him for 1 week, and it wasn't really a huge, expansive playbook. Like, I think that's even worse. I think it's just Browning or nothing.
All right. And running back, so Antonio Gibson left with the knee injury. Omarion Hampton's going to get more tests on his foot/ankle. And Tyler Bidet left with a shoulder injury. Wide receiver Darius Slayton has a hamstring injury. Xavier Worthy, optimistic that he's going to play tonight.
He better.
If he doesn't play, if you have a roster spot to play with, you got like De'Ami Brown you could pick up. You could pick up Juju Smith-Schuster. Maybe Marquise Brown, Tyquan Thornton certainly would be much better if Worthy didn't play. I don't have any tight end injuries. Offensive line, the Eagles' offensive line has not been exactly what we expected it to be. And Landon Dickerson left in the first half, and we'll see the severity of that injury. That's about it. There were some guys who left but came back. Denver offensive lineman Ben Powers left with an injury.
You're laughing at.
That's so many typos in one sentence. Instead of Denver offensive lineman, I would have typed DENOL, Ben Powers. I put Baltimore outfielder, like BALOF, Ben Bowers. So I just completely threw myself off there. Okay. And on defense, Seattle got a little beat up. Colts got a little beat up. They get Arizona next week. Seattle's at Jacksonville. Matt Milano played last night for the Bills, but he left with an injury. Chargers defensive tackle Deshaun Hand left in the first half. It really was very light injury week.
Yeah, thank God. Finally.
Thomas, do we have that tweet of I have it here actually. All right, I'll go through it in a second. I'll throw it up. But before I do that, let's get to some snap counts here. And I don't have much, so I'll just run through. Juwan Johnson with Taysom Hill and Foster Morrow back. I don't even know if Foster Morrow played, actually. Juwan Johnson played 85% of the snaps. That was great, but he's starting to fade a little bit. See if he can bounce back, see if he can stay on the field for that full snap share, basically. RJ Harvey played 15 snaps. Very disappointing. Samaje Perine, the pass-catching running back for the Bengals. I'm wondering if they're starting to give him more work on first and second down. He played 19 snaps on first and second down. They were trailing so big that I imagine they were just throwing a lot, but he did play 8 snaps on first and second down in the second quarter, which is more than usual for him. It just really, are they going to take carries away from Chase Brown? He basically needs every touch he can get. Tajay Spears only played 17 snaps in his first game back. We'll see if they work him in more next week. And Zach Charbonnet played more than Ken Walker. All right. So on this topic of snap counts and other stats, Jacob, is there anything you'd like to highlight?
We've got on the screen here, like 1 through 24, in terms of snap rates. I am worried a little bit about Chase Brown. Like if he starts to lose the role, then like what's left? He's, it doesn't seem like Perine would be somebody who takes work, but he's been better, slightly better. We'll see on that one. I'm a little worried because like they have some other tough matchups coming up before the bye week, and it's just like if this slips away from him, then it's like you're truly left with nothing. Whereas
Kamara too, right?
Yeah, but I don't have any hope for Kamara. But like
same.
Chase Brown, it's like if he can hold on to it long enough, then like they have some better matchups. Maybe Burrow gets back at some point, like maybe you make it through. And so like it's just you'd be hoping that he'd still be in this like 70% snap rate range, but he's really not been. So yeah, you can see here like running backs 13 through 24 in snap rates. No, not a whole lot. Like Ginty played a ton in the first half. He had a 90% snap rate in the first half, and that came down because of the blowout. The Seattle backfield continues to be frustrating. I thought Kenneth Walker looked so good out of the gate, but then it just ended up being the same thing.
But as I pointed out yesterday, he did get a first and goal carry from the 7. He got a second and goal carry from the 5. And then they threw it. Then Charbonnet came in on third down, which is going to happen a lot. And they threw a touchdown on the next play.
He likes to create explosive runs to get them into the red zone and then
Yeah.
take himself out because he's just a good guy, you know?
But
He's
it
all about
kills
the
us for
team.
fantasy because
Yeah.
most of the reduction is just coming from running the ball, which we know just doesn't help us enough.
For sure. I mean, freaking 81% snap rate for Rashad White. Like, they just,
Awesome.
yeah, just let him do everything, receiving and everything too. They get down to the goal line and they're just like run behind Tristan Wirfs and it's a touchdown. Yeah, no surprise.
Jacob and I ranked Javonte Williams as like a top 25. I think he came in at 25 or 26 player rest of season. I actually think that might be too low. I'm not at this point. Like it continues week after week after week, and they're just scoring touchdowns, and he looks good, and there's really no reason not to like him at this point.
I've got a
missing 4 offensive linemen.
And who cares? It doesn't matter. And those guys are going to come back, and it'll be even better.
Yeah,
I've got a buddy who's beyond the box score pilled, and he's like so out of control with the Javonte Williams stuff. He's like, if someone offered me like Saquon Barkley for my Javonte, I would say no. If somebody offered me
I don't know if I hate that.
Josh Jacobs for my Javonte, I would say no.
I'm so mad I didn't trade for Javonte in every league.
The only thing I had to push back is that this snap rate is like different than anything we've literally ever seen for Javonte Williams dating back to North Carolina. So that's like 7 seasons of data of him splitting backfields. He's never had a snap rate above 55% in a season ever.
That's a good point.
And so like it is a battle of attrition. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Like I don't know if he can do this all year long. We often see snap rates taper off as the year goes on or players get hurt.
That's a good point. That's a really good point because he did share that backfield with Michael Carter. I'm trying to see the contract situation with him. It's a 1-year deal. Yeah.
Like almost
on that. Like, I think they will run him into the ground from that standpoint. Just it's a matter of if he can take it. And that's a great point by you. So maybe it is one of
I'm
these
not
players.
even saying that like he can't do it or he's not built for it or anything. I'm just saying like if that's the only logical reason I could come up with to be like, no, he's not worth more than Saquon Barkley. He's not. Because it was Saquon and Jacobs. It's like those guys' offensive lines are banged up and playing like crap. Whereas like this Dallas offensive line, if it gets healthy, could be like one of the best in the whole league.
Right.
Like the situation just seems better.
Yep. And their offense scores every week.
I trade him for Barkley.
Yeah, I think most would. And I think most would trade him for Jacobs too. I think I would probably do it for Barkley, not do it for Jacobs. But I don't even know for sure if I would want to do it for Barkley at this point. They score every week, the Cowboys. They're one of the best they're one of the only offenses we can rely on to score touchdowns all the time.
It's pretty crazy. I really thought there was a good chance they were just going to have a bad offense. They had kind of a bad offense last year.
With Dak. Never with Dak.
Last year they really were not good. They were something like around 20th points per game with Dak Prescott.
Small sample size though, right? Only a few games before he got hurt.
Just half a season.
Okay.
His play action rate is way up this year. His play action rate was super low last year. Obviously, that's one of the things that I don't know. People say is like a cheat code in the NFL is you want to use play action. You got to be able to run the ball to do it successfully. And they were toiling with stupid Zeke at the beginning of the year. They weren't even giving their best running back the touches that he needed. Now they actually have a running game. They're using play action perfectly, and they've had 2 huge games offensively in a row without CeeDee Lamb. It's extremely impressive. So I am so excited about Dak Prescott going forward, and Javonte I have on at least 5 teams. Been very lucky that I took a chance on that.
Few other things I would point out here is the Derrick Henry snap rate, 68%, even in a game where they're getting blown out, really surprised me. And so he ended up being able to survive the week for fantasy. Michael Carter, 59% is good. But like I said, like there were times where they were treating him like the every down back. His snap rate in the first quarter was like 90%. I don't think he's going to have that role, but like I think this role could continue to grow. And they fed him touches. Bam Knight, he got the touchdown because he came in and just like randomly in the second quarter came in as a relief option and ripped off 2 explosive plays right away and got him down to the 1-yard line. And they're like, all right, well, yeah, finish it off. You earned it. He had 1 touch the rest of the game. I doubt that he matters, maybe, but it seems like he's just kind of the third back. And so like if DeMarcado, if he does see his role scale back at all because of the blunder this week, then it's like there might be a lot left for Michael Carter. It might be like a 70% snap rate.
If they can trust him on passing downs, which I don't see why they wouldn't.
That's what he's been. Yeah, that's what he's been in the past. Like when he was with Javonte at UNC, that's what he was. When he was with the Jets, that's what it was.
That's an interesting point. And I saw Gannon just ream out DeMarcado on the sideline after that play, which I saw a lot of people going against Gannon for defending DeMarcado. Team Gannon on that. If my job's on the line as a head coach and I may only get one head coach job in my life, I'm perfectly fine with that coach reaming out a player who literally cost his team the game.
2 more shout outs real quick.
Hold on
Waddle.
one second.
Okay.
On that. It wasn't like he was showboating, right? It was just a mental error. And
so
I might be, so he made a mistake, but I don't think he was showing up, you don't think he was showing up the game or the.
No, I don't think he was showboating.
So I'm sorry, but am I crazy? I looked at it so many times. I really feel like the ball was over the goal line.
I also thought it kind of crossed the line as he's extending the ball. I kind of felt like the nose of the ball was at the line at least.
That's what I thought. I haven't seen an angle where it's so clearly out of his hand before he crosses the goal line. I'm not sure it was the right call. Obviously, he made a huge mistake, but I don't think that he needed to be berated like that. But different coaches have different methods.
Yeah.
Also, Jacob, before you go on, I got to tell our football fans to bring that playoff energy to their pro football bets all season long. This pro football boost pack from BetMGM gives you 3 ways to boost your payout on a winning bet, like Giants over Saints. Just log into your BetMGM to receive your boost pack, and then place any pro football bet and apply one of the tokens. And make sure you bet up to the minimum stake, odds, and legs specified on the token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. From opening kickoffs to game-winning drives, this pro football boost pack is your ticket to unforgettable moments this season. Don't wait on the sidelines. Join the action with BetMGM. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. All right, back to you, sir.
Yeah, last 2 are Rico Dowdle, 68%. I thought he played really great. And even though the rookie, Trevor Etienne, was also playing really great, I thought, and has played well all year, it was like basically all Dowdle. And then James Cook, still 70% snapper. And I know this was a frustrating game, but the coach specifically, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, was like, I've got to get Ray Davis more involved. Like, it's not okay that Ray Davis has ended up out of the game plan. It's just because I've been riding James Cook because he's been so good. And then this is what he gets: 10% snap rate, Ray Davis, 2 touches. It's like, I thought this was an encouraging takeaway for James Cook. We've seen James Cook snap rate all the way down to like 40%, 50% and stuff. He's regularly been in the 70, 80% this year, and 18, 20 touches this year, which is really, really different than where he's been in the past, which is really relevant because if you look at fantasy points per touch at running back over the past few seasons, he's right up there with Devon Achane and Jahmyr Gibbs as the absolute best in the league. So definitely, this was a good takeaway for Cook.
I don't know I'm sorry if you said this specifically, but 2 games in a row now with a 70% snap share. So that's 2 consecutive games this year that he's done that. He did that 1 time in the first 3 years of his career. So just a very good usage. Unfortunately, only 1 catch in this game. He's going to probably need, I don't know if he needs, but I'd like to see him get 2 to 4, let's say 3 per game to really have a better floor in PPR. This is a horrible game, fantasy-wise, for James Cook.
Yeah.
All right, should we go to the big topics?
Can we do a random Bill victory lap?
Yeah, you earned it, Jacob. You earned it.
For the people, the show. This is like why you go beyond the box score. So,
yeah.
Bill, first player. Woo! Thank you. Bill was the first player named on our Beyond the Box Score Rookie Gym show back in June. In 2023, it was Puka Nacua. In 2024, it was Tyron Tracy. So maybe play the applause again. My gosh. Yes, it's a victory lap, but also this is truly an example.
That's the name of the week. Yeah. All right. We have the applause queued up.
This is also an example of why you go beyond the box score. Like, people were worried about his usage through 4 weeks. We're concerned with the Chris Rodriguez stuff and like looking at the box score, Chris Rodriguez being above him and carries and stuff. If you listen to the show, like, you knew that the breakup was coming at some point, and there were reasons to believe that. And it's not just that he was playing awesome, but also, like we pointed out in weeks 3 and 4, he had as many pass protection reps as Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez combined. The Commanders were like building out this role for him to be a full-time player. I wasn't expecting it to come this quick, honestly. But here we are, and it's really, really exciting now. He's running back 1 in fantasy points per touch on the year at 1.28 PPR points per touch. Jonathan Taylor is next at 1.1. The league average is 0.86, so he's 45% above the league average. He's running back 1 in yards after contact per rush. Another thing that, like, box score watching might tell you is that he can't catch passes. He didn't really do that in college. He looked great in this game. They've designed a screen target to him in each of the past 3 games. He has more targets than McNichols and Rodriguez combined since the Eckler injury. So everything seems to be shaping up for this to be a 3-down roll. We aren't quite there yet in terms of usage. I think at a 49% snap rate in this game, but we're getting close. He started the game. He did have the fumble, but he came back and played after that. I think we're getting close to this being like a 3-down back who maybe loses some 2-minute drill work and stuff like that, but in a really good offense that has a scrambling quarterback to scare defenses and the run game that's number 1 at success rate on running back runs this year. Like it's working really, really well what Cliff Kingsbury's doing.
Seeing is believing. That guy is terrific.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other thing. It's like, in addition to everything Jacob just mentioned, which is correct about how good his situation is, like they haven't figured out Cliff's system yet. It's clear. People thought, oh, year 2, they'll figure it out. Nope. You can't figure out anything with Jaden Daniels, your quarterback. He's also really talented. That's the additional thing. Like we could see that he looks really good on tape. And that's the big thing. You just pair good situation with good talent, and that usually leads to a lot of fantasy success.
And we got this bonus topic here. I asked for 4 big topics. Got this 5th one here. Why is Jacob Gibbs pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays?
Does kind of look like Jacob.
People are so obsessed with finding doppelgangers for me. I literally like
Really?
I've heard such a wide variety of different ones.
Who else?
Actors and stuff. The Twilight guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
The guy
Did you
who's
see
in
Batman? Did you see the new Batman, like the newish one?
No, I want to, but I haven't.
Pattinson, right? Is his name?
Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
People say Jake Gyllenhaal. People say the
Jake
guy.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal, sorry. People say the guy from The Bear.
I could see Robert Pattinson. Definitely not Jeremy Allen. Jeremy Allen? Whatever his name is, that guy?
The Bear?
I see Robert Pattinson more than the Bear guy.
You talking about the main character in The Bear?
Yeah.
Jeremy Allen White?
Just
I can
any
see
just
He had
depressed
one
guy. They're like, that looks like Jacob.
Depressed guy.
That look like Jake Gyllenhaal, by the way. Jake Gyllenhaal is like a
Jake
Bobby.
Gyllenhaal's not a good take, and I don't think Jeremy Allen White is either. But I do like the take.
I told you, they're all over the place. It's like anybody who has bags under their eyes, that's probably me.
Like Jeff Van Gundy. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with the fantasy cops and our 4 big topics after this.
Can I get a spot real quick?
Yeah, sure, man. Hey, wait a minute. You're Dave Richard from FFT.
Yeah.
Huh. Hey, I snagged Alvin Kamara in the 4th round. What do you think?
Is it PPR?
Yeah, full point.
Okay.
I love that ad. It's
Throwback
pretty long.
commercial. I loved all of those. Yeah. We need more.
This one's from Alan. He says, hey, fantasy cops. My son Reed is in 8th grade. During class, one of his quote-unquote friends got on his laptop and dropped JSN, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill from his team. He talked to the commissioner. He couldn't figure out how to edit the rosters to fix this. The commissioner sent a note that anyone that picks those players up would be out of the league, but it didn't work. Waivers run, and the commissioner grabs Kelce for my son, but another player grabs JSN and refuses to give him back. This is a huge mess right now. How do you suggest we unravel this? And more importantly, what punishment should this culprit be penalized with?
I mean, there's a super, super simple and easy solution for unraveling this mystery. Go to commissioner tools and figure out how to drop players from other teams' rosters and add them back to another team's roster. This is not some like mystery that can't be solved. Like, I'm sorry that you don't know that. I'm not trying to like knock you or say that I'm better than you or anything, because it did come off bad. And I take that back, everything I just said. So let me walk that back a little. Go to commissioner tools. You have this option in commissioner tools.
Yeah, but he might not be playing on CBS.
Wherever on Yahoo, every site has this option. So you just need to do a little digging, and you'll find it in commissioner tools. So you could just put the players back on the roster. And as far as
a little hole in your logic, Dan. He's in 8th grade. He probably didn't pay for a league, and a lot of the free leagues have limited commissioner tools. So that's why they're coming to you with the fantasy cops.
I didn't know about limited commissioner tools.
Dominant Dan put in his place.
I just didn't know about limited commissioner tools. I have some free leagues that you can still do this on, but I guess if for some reason you can't do this in your league and you're stuck, which is crazy to begin with, I don't know what to do here. Like, is there a punish? I'm not sure. I'm deferred.
Make trades to change the rosters to what they should be.
But the guy won't trade. If the guy who picked up JSN just won't trade, then what?
And you kick him out. This is even in 8th grade, like 8th grade, you're not in 4th grade here. Okay, you're a person, you're a human being, free will. You know what to do. Kick these little twerps out of the league. Okay, these little. I know Jonathan Gannon would kick him out of the league. I'll tell you that.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
wow.
Make some trades, get that roster back, and if they refuse to do it, they are out. The commissioner told them what to do. They didn't listen. You know what? Send them.
Yeah, but it sounds like even if they're out, what are you going to do? You can't. There's no free moves in this league or whatever. The commissioner has no power.
I don't know. But send them to the principal's office and kick them out of the league. Thank you very much for the fantasy cops. All right, 4 big topics. Adam Plank wants to know which superstar players should we be trying to trade and for what? For example, should I trade Justin Jefferson for Garrett Wilson and Javonte Williams? Or I think that's asking for a lot, actually. But or should we just stick with the superstars? So, Jacob, you're very prepared for this. Your thoughts on trading away superstars?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure, like based off of the example, if they were looking like if it was like which superstars do I bail on, like because Justin Jefferson, like you noted, I don't even know if he'll be worth more than Garrett Wilson in some people's minds if they just are looking at fantasy points scored. Jefferson's wide receiver 12, Wilson's like top 5. Javonte's obviously putting up huge numbers. So since it was a bit ambiguous, what I did was just make a 1 to 10 buy sell list for the superstars, with 1 being the most selliest.
Well, I like that.
And 10 being the most biased. And so the buys, if you are a winning team that can afford to be patient, Bucky Irving is a 10 out of 10 buy. Like, I'm a little bit nervous about his injury. I just hope that they don't rush him back. But the bye week is in like 2 or 3 weeks, and the schedule from that point on is so nice. And they have a guy that they trust in Rachaad White. So the only thing is Bucky is a bit of a maniac, right? Like we've seen him play through injury before, but if they're patient with it, he comes back. Like, I think he's just going to smash. And so if you can afford to wait on him, he would be number 1 for me. I've got an 8 on the buy meter for Jamar Chase with no contingencies attached. Just like think he's a great buy.
No,
I do want to hear your pushback, but what I would say is like we just saw it. Which is no surprise. We've seen in the past that he can produce even in an awful situation. And if things get right at the end of the year, I think it could just be nuts, like where he's the best player in fantasy.
But we also saw 2 games where he scored a combined 16.2 fantasy points.
Yes, we did. Yeah, which is why I think you might be able to buy him, and you really should never be able to buy him.
Those were Minnesota and Denver. Those were tough matchups. Totally.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And
I'm on the buy side with Chase, but I think I'm more like a 6 than an 8.
Fair. He gets Baltimore, Miami, and Arizona in weeks 15 through 17. So it's like if he's playing, even if it's not Burrow, I think that those are matchups where he can go ham in. And if it's him and Burrow, he could average 30 during those matchups.
I guess I'm just really not expecting Burrow back, but maybe
I'm not expecting Burrow back at all. They're going to be out of the playoff race by then.
Yeah, it's the most optimistic timetable would be, early to mid-December. So it could be back. But if that's fair, maybe I should at least factor that. All right, 7. I'll go 7. Go ahead.
Nice.
Who else?
My other 7s are Saquon Barkley. I'm in on that as a buy.
Okay.
Brock Bowers with the same contingency as Bucky, if you can afford to be patient. But like Bucky, I'm a little bit worried about him as a player being just a crazy person and trying to get out there too soon.
Right.
But if you can't afford to be patient, I don't have quite as much confidence in the team level stuff, which is why he's a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
By highs, I've got a 7 for both Jackson Smith-Njigba and Puka Nacua. If you can buy them at all, I'm fine paying the price. And then I also have a 7 for Drake London, Nico Collins, and Ladd McConkey. And then I have both Brian Thomas Jr. and Justin Jefferson and Trey McBride as like slight buys. So I guess 6 would be like I am fine buying them at cost relative to where they were at the beginning of the season. If you can get them any cheaper than that, then I think I'm fine with that.
I'm going to push back on McConkey.
Sure.
Obviously, he just had a good game. I don't love what we're seeing right now from the Chargers.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Alt out on IR, he'll be back. Might take a little while, but I just don't see him separating. I know he had the best game because he caught the touchdown, but he didn't have that good of a game. And he's not separating himself from Quentin Johnston or Keenan Allen from a target standpoint. So I just don't really think he's going to hit on where he was drafted. In fact, I would be more likely to draft Trey McBride, who's the clear number one target on his team, than McConkey.
I'm fine with that. I had Trey McBride ranked just ahead of him going into the year, and I think that makes sense. Maybe McConkey should be a 6. The
Okay.
sells, I had AJ Brown and then contingency guys, Bucky and Bowers. If you need wins right now, I'm totally fine just shipping them and taking the loss, even if it's less than you hoped for, and less than you bought, drafted them at. AJ Brown, I'm fine selling. Like, I would rather have Roma Dunze straight up over AJ Brown.
Same.
And Chase Brown, I've got as a 3, which is like, if you need to cut bait, if you need to sell low, I'm fine signing off on that. I don't really feel a lot of confidence that it's going to turn around.
No. Yeah. Right. I think you said something important is even if you lose a trade, if you need to do it right now to save your season, do it. I traded last year, ended up being just a horrible trade. Joe Burrow, before he really busted out in the second half, for Kareem Hunt, who had just stepped into this starting role before Pacheco came back. And it ended up being a terrible trade. But in the interim where I needed a running back, it got me through. And I don't think I won that league, but I think I went to the final. I don't know. It ended up being important for me. It got me to the playoffs, and I had a little bit of a run. So you can lose a trade, by the end of the season. But if you are desperate and you need to win right now, then you do it. And, you just deal with the consequences. Another thing to keep an eye on is, look, advanced players, experienced players, you're not going to fool them on this, but trading a player who hasn't had his bye yet for a player who already has had his bye, you are stealing a week. So you can try to do that with less experienced players, or maybe people will just make a mistake and don't realize that. But and don't do it yourself. Don't trade a player who hasn't had his bye yet for a player who has had a bye, unless it's a clear win. You don't want to lose a week in that regard.
So that would be like Drake London, I think is a great buy for sure.
Yeah.
Just his bye week. The guys who are like superstars who were drafted high that I put as no change right in the middle are Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, Ashton Genty, and Jonathan Taylor. And that's not necessarily their value hasn't changed, but just like I wouldn't really be buying them or selling them. They're just holds for me. Is anyone on that stand out as a buyer or a sell for you?
Not that I disagree, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on Derrick Henry and why he's just kind of a hold right now.
Yeah, that's the scariest one, but it's just like, we know that like winter is coming for Derrick Henry's opponents. That's how it always is.
True.
And like, I wouldn't want to sell him low. If it's like, I get Javonte or something like that, I guess, like if you really need to win right now, but like I said, the snap rate this week I thought was encouraging that they still just try to center everything around him, even in a game where they're getting crushed. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously not good. His value has gone down since the beginning of the year. I just don't think I'd want to sell him.
I see what you're saying. Achane, he is RB5 overall, and he is RB7 per game, but he's only had like one great game. He scored 4 touchdowns in 5 games. He's just having an interesting season. You would think scoring almost a touchdown per game that Devon Achane would be having this, 20 plus fantasy point season. He's averaging 18.5 per game.
The big plays haven't been there like they were in the past so far.
I'm almost tempted to buy low coming off this game, even though he scored, but he had such a, 10 carries for 16 yards. If anyone is panicking on Achane, he had 7 targets in this game, and I definitely would pick him to be first or second in running back targets rest of season. It's just so obvious. They're going to throw it a lot.
I like that.
Right, it's him or McCaffrey, I would have to say. That's not really the most obvious take in the world. They're probably crushing everybody in running back targets.
I've got a segue here to answer 2 chat questions. This is really professional business here. Guys that you could trade your stars away for. The chat was asking, like, is Deebo Samuel a good trade target, even though he's playing well? They're also asking, like, who are some guys we could trade AJ Brown for? I think I would just take Deebo straight up over AJ Brown. Is that where you're at?
I think so.
I struggle with that because McLaurin is not.
He'll return. Yeah,
he'll return. I think I'd take AJ Brown. Did you guys know where the Eagles rank in yards per game?
25th.
30th.
Gosh.
Is that a guarantee to get better though?
Yes, they're not the 3rd worst. They're 14th and 15th in scoring, but 30th in yards per game. I think it'll get better.
I do think that, like, So
But better. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
on the Debo McLaurin note, like I think that McLaurin being back might only help him. I know that this is irritating when I bring this up because it's like, well, the target share was 47% this week, and it's not going to be like that when McLaurin's here. McLaurin's not a huge target share guy. He never has been. Even last year, when the offensive environment was healthier, they're running more RPOs, which are like funneling targets to one player. His target share was still like 23% or something. I think having the vertical element in the offense would really help with where we're at with Debo, where defenses can't focus on him. I just think he looks so good. Like you look at him and AJ Brown, they're two players who both have been elite level fantasy producers at times. And one of them is in an offense where things are working, and one of them is playing well right now. And the other one is in an offense where it doesn't seem like they want to pass. They tried to do it this last week, and it only added more drama to this annoyingly dramatic Philly season. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Debo outscores him rest of the season.
Me either.
I guess it wouldn't surprise me, but
Gets,
I think, look,
it's Dallas fantasy championship week.
The Eagles have the Giants twice in their next 3 games. It really should be good for everyone except maybe Devontae Smith, because if it's good for AJ Brown, it's usually not great for Devontae Smith if Dallas Goedert's playing. Barkley is going to go crazy. He's had a tough schedule. He's going to play the Giants. They're probably the worst or second worst run defense in football. Twice in the next 3 games, he's going to have 400 yards in those games. So I'm
take the under on everything you just said.
It's like 3 straight seasons of the Eagles being really, really productive for fantasy and AJ Brown being awesome. I'm not jumping ship after 5 games.
What? AJ Brown wasn't awesome in fantasy last year. Was he?
Wide receiver 15 per game. And that was with them throwing so little.
But they're still throwing so
they
little.
are. I wish they were throwing more. I think
what I said. They're not going to throw more. They win games without throwing, and they can't throw. Their offense is very broken looking.
Cortland Sutton, AJ Brown,
Cortland Sutton.
Let me make you even more uncomfortable than the Debo thing. Jalen Waddle or AJ Brown?
Waddle. Yeah, Waddle.
Waddle, I think, is going to get hurt at some point, but I would go Waddle on a per game basis.
That was easy for you, Adam?
Yeah. I mean, why not, right? It's like
the Dolphins scare the crap out of me, and then also the potential for injury with Waddle.
Yeah.
Do they bench Tua is what I'm wondering. I mean, if they would have to think, do they have, Quinn Ewers or something like that? Is he the future of their? I don't think so. I don't think they bench Tua, but they are obviously tanking, or not tanking. They are obviously terrible. At some point, do they say like, do we have something else? But I'm thinking that's not going to happen. So I would take Waddle. I would take Waddle over AJ Brown. Yeah. I would not say, like somebody said Olave over AJ Brown. I would not do that. No way.
No.
Even I wouldn't do that.
All right, let's go to our next topic here from Good Boy Troy. Can we trust the Raiders offense in any capacity moving forward after they lost? It was like 40-6 or something yesterday.
Yeah.
Can we trust? Yes. Can we trust the Raiders in any capacity going forward?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
No. Jacob and I went over this last week on Beyond the Box Score when we broke down the offensive lines and their impact on the run game and the pass game over the past 2 weeks, I should say. This is just one of, if not the worst offensive lines in the NFL. And unlike what we saw with the Panthers, which is, you get a good matchup, you can scheme up the run game, you can stick with the run game, you can use different scheme to kind of figure it out in the run game. I haven't seen that at all from the Raiders. I haven't seen their defense provide any solution for them keeping game script in any of these to the point where they can establish a run game. So I think it's going to look really bad for a long time, especially if Bowers is not 100% healthy. And I don't know if 1 week of rest is really going to help Bowers, in my opinion.
He might have more than that. He's week to week.
Okay.
And I hope he does, to your point, right?
Yeah.
I hope he gets.
They got to let him get right.
Yeah. And if he does get right, then I think they could have a decent offense. Geno Smith didn't really play that poorly until that second interception, that pick 6. They actually
people are saying like they'll be better without Geno. It's like, no, actually, Kenny Pickett is their backup quarterback, who's a fantasy killer with no arm talent whatsoever.
Look, this is what I want to point out. Genti was really good yesterday. He didn't play a snap in the fourth quarter, and he had more than 100 total yards and 5 catches. He was really good. He's had 2 good games in a row since he went to his Michael Myers stance in the backfield.
It's the receiving. That's when on the Start to Sit show, I was like, I don't really know if Bowers being out helps Trey Tucker, which Tucker had a good game. He's a pretty good player. but it's like we got a lot more quick, short stuff to Genty. They changed the way the offense had been operating in a not sustainable way, especially without Colton Miller, their star left tackle, now gone, where Geno was holding onto the ball for almost 3.5 seconds per dropback. That was down to 2.5, which is one of the fastest of any quarterback. 61% of his throws left his hand in under 2.5 seconds. So that he was getting the ball very, very quick, which is like, we've seen this is what Stroud has done, and it's working really well. These last few weeks, things have been working much better in Houston. I don't know if they have the weapons for it to work as well here, but I do think it's encouraging for Genty, at least, that hopefully he can get going in the receiving game.
Yeah, the tough one is everyone's going to start Genty, right? Like, and should you trade for him? I don't know. I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's maybe going to play like a second rounder instead of a first rounder, or maybe he's just awesome. Again, he was having a good game. And he's getting Tennessee this week, which is a great matchup. They actually have a really tough schedule. That was the other thing I wanted to point out. They have, beginning in week 10, the Raiders have a 7-game stretch with Denver twice, Cleveland, the Chargers, the Eagles, and the Texans.
Wow.
So, yeah, beginning in week 10, their schedule gets awful. So I would probably downgrade everyone a little bit, but Genty I still think is going to be fine. And then Bowers, if he's back to himself, then the matchups won't matter for him. Myers is the tough one. 77% started. I am stunned that Jacoby Myers did not have a good game. I thought for sure he was going to have a good game without Bowers. 4 catches for 32 yards on 6 targets after 4 catches for 30 yards on 7 targets the week before. I don't really know what to say. I think he's probably a number 3 wide receiver, which is what he's been basically like much of his career, the last 3 years of his career. All right, next topic then from Randy Mal 04. Who or what is the top preseason player or situation that we were wrong about and we move on from? And which player or preseason situation were we wrong about so far, but we remain patient on? And full disclosure, some of us took this as a preseason, meaning what happened in the actual preseason. And some of us took this as preseason as in draft season. What did we think, before the actual regular season games started? But
so
either
way, from both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Either way,
who
are we being patient with and who are we moving on from? And Dan, I'll let you start.
Okay. Let me get my little list up. So for me, patient with or right on that I'm sticking with Deebo Samuel, who I thought would be just a perfect fit for this Cliff Kingsbury system. We talked a little bit about him earlier.
This is absolutely not what the question was.
Okay.
I mean, these are people that are struggling that we're being patient with.
I thought it said that we were, just the ones that we were wrong on. Okay. Philly. I'll start with that one.
Okay.
Thought we'd see that offensive line dominate again. I thought we'd see that offense be one of the offenses in fantasy that you want to buy into at all times and all parts. As far as that goes, on my confidence meter, 1 through 10 of it going that direction and not continuing to be what it was, I'll put it at a 2.5. While it will get better, I don't think it will get better. Detroit was a team that Jacob and I both expected some regression from, with the loss of Ben Johnson, with the loss of Frank Ragnow, the best center in football, and then starting 3 new interior offensive linemen in all 3 spots. Haven't seen that much of that yet, with the exception of 1 game. So my confidence meter in them continuing to be one of the most dominant offenses in football is probably an 8 or 9. Seattle.
We were right and wrong on that one. If you remember the analysis I did digging into all the Ben Johnson stuff and like how he boosted it, was like he really boosted Jameson Williams, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is the man. So I think he'll be fine, and I'm worried about Demo. So at least we got that part right.
Yeah, it wasn't fully wrong. I just thought there would be more of a regression due to those offensive line changes, and there just isn't. It's a wagon there in Detroit. Seattle was a team I thought maybe offensive line could be a big issue. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Gray Zabel and what he can mean to that offense, but he's meant a lot to that offensive line. And I think Charles Cross is playing good football as well. So, and more importantly, Darnold's awesome. Like Darnold in this system, now that he's met his match, which is like the Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell tree, he's become a much better quarterback in the NFL. I think he's one of the better ones we watch on a weekly basis. So in that regard, I think my confidence meter is 7.5 of them continuing it throughout the season. I really like what I've seen from Seattle offense. Other offenses I was wrong on are players. Colston Loveland, thought he would hit the ground running. It hasn't happened yet for Jacob and I. That's a big one. We hope that could change in the second half of the season. I have confidence in the player. I don't know if I have confidence in his role in the offense, though I do like that the offense is much better than we expected it even to be at this stage, the Bears. Colts offense, I got to eat crow for this one. I knew they had all the pieces around him, top 7, top 6 offensive line, one of the best running backs in the NFL when healthy, a slew of just different wide receivers who do a lot of great different things, and Tyler Warren, who I loved, and Steichen, who in the past, when he didn't have to work with Anthony Richardson, who has like 4 total starts before he entered the NFL or whatever it was, and didn't really play much football, proved to be a great coach and a great quarterback whisperer. But I didn't believe in Jones, and I was wrong on that. Jones is able to do good with all of that stuff around him. So that's an offense I just missed on. As far as confidence meter.
Yeah, but the question was like, who are you wrong about that you're being patient with, and who are you wrong about that you're moving on from? So I think I just missed this question. Let's go to Jacob. Well, okay, one that actually seems right. Travis Hunter. Okay, I was wrong about Travis Hunter. Am I being patient on him? No. No, moving on. And honestly,
sorry for misinterpreting the question.
A few weeks ago, I was being patient with Brian Thomas Jr., but I'm about out of patience. Not that I'm going to drop him, but it's more of like a hold instead of a buy low. But we'll see what happens tonight. But I've kind of lost a lot of confidence in him.
Adam can't even be patient with Dan.
No, I deserve to be cut off there. I totally misunderstood the question. My bad, guys. That was on me. I totally misread or misunderstood the question.
Travis Hunter's going off tonight, by the way.
I hope. I need him to score 16 to win a matchup that I should have won, but stupid guy is Jamar Chase, and he has that random touchdown at the end, which was so infuriating. So infuriating.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, so I thought this was maybe a question about overreacting to the preseason or something, like watching the preseason and what things get really hyped up. Like Travion Henderson got extremely hyped up during the preseason specifically. Like his ADP shot way up just because of a few plays in the preseason. Was that wrong? It clearly looks like it so far. There was a lot of risk baked in that I don't think people really accounted for. Dan actually did. He helped me not get too high on Travion because of the coaching situation there. And on that note, like Kyle Williams was somebody that we got super excited about. And it's like, will he ever get a chance? I just don't know with Josh McDaniels and the way that things work for these rookies. Ollie Gordon was the other one that I think people got really excited about during the preseason, that it looks like he's kind of nothing. But honestly, I think it was more right than wrong during the preseason in terms of like watching players and being like, Tyler Warren looks phenomenal. They're getting Tyler Warren targets down the field. They're doing stuff a lot more than just like design screens and stuff.
How bad did Daniel Jones look in the preseason, right?
Right.
That was the weird thing.
He looked terrible in the preseason. And
he overthrew wide open Tyler Warren, right? Up the sideline. That's the most Daniel Jones throw I've ever seen. This isn't going to work. But I think Jacob,
even if Jones looked amazing, no one would have changed their opinion on Daniel Jones.
True.
Probably not. I think the problem with rookies in the preseason is that they're the ones that play, right? So we can't really talk about their roles anymore in the preseason when they're the ones that actually play. We have to see them play. The coaches always play them more than the veterans. So I actually hate the preseason now. I obviously don't want COVID to come back, but I would love to not have a preseason again because I didn't miss preseason at all that one year during COVID, and I don't feel like we missed any analysis. It's like our job was harder. I hate the preseason.
Hard disagree.
So mad at the preseason. The preseason sucks. Like it led us so astray with RJ Harvey. With Travion
no, RJ Harvey played terrible in the preseason.
But he had that first and second down role. It was like, oh, he's the first and second down guy. They're going to bring in J.K. Dobbins for pass protection. And he's going to be the third down guy. Wrong. I mean, RJ Harvey fooled you in the preseason.
I think everything along the RJ Harvey timeline is exactly as expected for a rookie that as a veteran and is playing with an old coach. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see his role expanded as the year goes on. I do think there's a lot of value in watching the preseason, and I've got a long list of guys here from this year and last year if we won it, but I'm also content to just move on from this question.
Give me a few names that you benefit.
Emeka Egbuka looked like a bona fide stud in the preseason. Bill looked incredible. Yeah. It was very reminiscent of Bucky Irving last year during the preseason. Jackson Dart's preseason was awesome, and then we see him get in way earlier than expected and play well. Harold Fannin looked really, really good in the preseason, immediately on the field in week 1, contributing right away, looking good.
Yeah, that really worked out though.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
the question is,
relative to
guys,
expectations, he was free.
with all the guys that you talked about, definitely not Bill. Like that, I could see the value there. To say that Tyler Warren looked good in the preseason, Tyler Warren was my favorite player in the draft, basically, other than the top 3. I mean, I love Tyler Warren. I feel like just from what they did in college, we could have expected them to be good players.
Well, that's why I brought up the downfield targets, is because Warren was like a screen merchant in college. He did some downfield stuff. He has amazing hands, and that was on display against college guys. But to see him come in against like the best athletes in the world and be looking like the exact same guy, and them getting him targets down the field, just like there's not very many tight ends that get targeted down the field. There's even fewer tight ends that have an offense like based around them in the NFL. And so like he needed to confirm that he was able to win against pro level players if he was going to succeed, because it was unlikely that the role was going to be a 35% target share like it was in college. And he only has a 20% target share so far this year, but he's been able to produce because he's a freaking alpha out there. He's really good.
Yeah, he is. He's terrific. All right. We should probably move on. Anything else you want to add? And the only reason people are asking why I'm moving on, I actually have a show in 3 minutes with Jamie. I'm going to try to bump it a little bit to buy us some more time. But that's why I'm in a bit of a time crunch. But yeah, you can finish up.
We're good. Let's move on.
All right. The last topic was, I'm moving on from Isaiah Pacheco. I already dropped him in 2 leagues. He's going to go off tonight, obviously. And I'm staying patient with Travion Henderson because I still believe in the talent. I'm staying patient with Saquon Barkley. I think you should buy low on him. And Trey McBride was the other guy. He's number 6 tight end per game right now. He's still on pace for 143 targets. Last year, he was on pace for 156 targets. So it's not as good, but it's still great.
Do you have a touchdown yet?
He has 1 touchdown.
Yeah, 1.
He has 3 end zone targets. I think last year he had 9. So
he'll never score in the NFL.
He's just the kind of guy that I just feel comfortable with in my lineup. I do think that some of the tight ends that we've been excited about are probably going to fade, like Harold Fannin. Maybe he won't fade. I don't know. Maybe with Dylan Gabriel will be great, but Juwan Johnson, people are probably going to start dropping.
Yeah, but what about Ferguson and Kincaid?
Ferguson. What's Ferguson going to be like when CeeDee Lamb comes back?
Not
Dalton
too much
Kincaid,
worse than McBride.
Dalton Kincaid is going to keep producing with a maximum of 6 targets per game.
McBride doesn't score touchdowns in the NFL. He didn't score touchdowns in college. It's hard to return value where we were drafting him with that. And I loved him last year.
No, I don't agree. If you can get him, if he's 3rd round value and he's getting 143 targets in PPR, he'll still be
in full PPR. Fine.
Yeah, full PPR.
I won't be doing this again with tight ends. I know that. Me personally.
We'll see about that.
I do it every year, but I won't be doing it again.
Be patient with the rookies, especially Bashal Tootin.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. We don't talk about this guy a lot, but the topic is from TD Pat. Is Baker Mayfield a top 5 quarterback rest of season?
Top 5?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no.
He could
Not
be.
enough rushing.
He could be. Like the offense produced 41 touchdowns, and like it could be awesome. He's got Emeka Egbuka, who's freaking awesome. If he gets Egbuka, Godwin, and Evans healthy, like the offensive line gets healthier. They only have 1 guy who's out for the season. Baker is still running, so like he could be.
Their defense is banged up.
He's QB2 right now. He was probably top 5 last year. But if you're just like projecting, there's too many guys who run. Like, are you going to take him ahead of Justin Fields, who's averaged like 25 points per game?
He runs though.
Not like these guys though. That's what I'm saying.
6 point per passing touchdown leagues. I am definitely going to take him ahead of Justin Fields, who is
Drake May.
Justin Fields has played the Dolphins and the Cowboys the last 2 weeks. May and Mayfield, I would take Mayfield. He hasn't even played a game with Godwin, Evans, and Egbuka on the field yet. And Tristan Wirfs is back now. I am sick of doubting Baker Mayfield because you can look at his stats and be like, oh, well, this is going to regress. But he's just a freaking gamer. And he has now scored 19.7 or more fantasy points in 11 straight games, 22.9 or more in 9 of his last 11 games. He's also fumbled 16 times since the beginning of last season and only lost 2 of them. So he's amazing at having his own team recover his fumbles. That's an underrated skill. No, I'm just saying he's been super lucky. But the thing that this is probably going to change, his sack to pressure rate is so low this year. It's half of what it was last year.
Yeah.
He's not getting sacked. His interception rate is way down. As well as he played last year, much fewer sacks, far fewer interceptions this year. He's playing even better.
You know, one of the reasons,
a big part of it.
Ibuka's a big part of it, but one of the key reasons is going into this past week, and I don't know what the numbers say after this week, there were only 4 quarterbacks, just 4. That just shows the state of quarterback play in the NFL. 4 quarterbacks who had a positive, not like a good, I mean just not negative EPA when throwing past their first read. Baker was one of those 4 quarterbacks.
He's really good.
The league has just become what coaches can design first reads that are open and confuse and beat the defense. It's basically what it's become, unless you're one of those 4 quarterbacks.
That's a cool stat from Dan, and like shows how effective he is, and he's like good at moving the chains and everything. But also, I do think everything Adam pointed out like does paint the picture that he's probably going to regress. Like the interceptions, especially, is surprising because he is putting turnover worthy plays on film, right? Like he's spraying the ball all over the place. Fortune favors the bold, and there's not many bolder than Baker, so maybe he does just keep getting lucky, but the sack to pressure thing has been a serious problem for him in the past. Maybe it's just improved because we've seen this guy continue to just steadily compartmentalize and improve different aspects of his game. And so maybe he knew this was a problem, He's very effective navigating the pocket. He has probably one of the best feels of any quarterback in terms of where pressure's coming and everything and being able to find his path to escape. I compared him to Mahomes, and they're similar in the way that they play in some regards. He doesn't obviously have quite the heroic throw ability that Mahomes does, but a lot of the improv stuff and the rushing that they can add for fantasy, I think for fantasy, they're right on that outside of the top 5. They could be there.
They're going to flirt with it. Dak, May, Mahomes.
I say Mayfield might even be a better fantasy quarterback than that because at least Mayfield has this banged up, injured Bucs defense that's going to keep him in these shootout game scripts.
That's true. Chiefs defense is playing really well.
He's on pace for 490 rushing yards, and that's after 2 straight games of not really running that much. So,
right.
Last thing on Mayfield, I just wanted to mention. Last year, he threw 7 touchdown passes on deep balls. This year has already thrown 6.
Jeez.
Completely, yeah. Last year, he had 56 pass attempts on deep balls, which I think most people define as 20 or more air yards. 56 last year. He's on pace for 99 this year. He leads the NFL in pass attempts of 20 or more air yards. It's been a completely different player. And I think he's playing even better than he played last year. But that is coming off his best game. This Seattle game was his best game. He was insane.
I think he looks great. Every game I've watched him play. Moves through his reads fast, gets the ball out with velocity and ball placement, can make plays off script.
What are you defining deep ball as? 15 or 20 air yards?
I do 20.
20 plus, yeah.
On throws of 15 air yards, Emeka Ibuka has 67 PPR points. The next highest is Devontae Adams at 49.
Wow. Yeah. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about Ibuka.
That red zone post route that he's now hit Ibuka on twice for touchdowns, it's basically like unguardable for those two. Baker Mayfield just both times lit it up from a ball placement and velocity standpoint, like pinpoint, and then Ibuka just wins the route every time. So it's like he just puts his hand up and the ball's right there.
61 points on throws of 20 or more air yards. The next closest is Trey Tucker at 31.
Wow.
Jamie's going to Jonathan Gannon me if I don't get off the air now. So. Thank you all for watching and listening to Beyond the Box Score. Plenty more episodes this week on the Beyond the Box Score feed. Subscribe. Watch all of it on youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday. See you later.